The 10-year-old girl stood between 6 soldiers armed with tranquilizers and a 200-pound military dog that the entire country had been told to fear. Her hands were shaking, but she did not move. "Please," she said, and her voice cracked. He just wanted someone to see him. The soldier raised the tranquilizer gun. "No." She threw her arms wide, tears streaming down her face. "He is not dangerous. He is just sad. Why does nobody understand that?" The dog behind her did not growl, did not bare his teeth, did not run. He just kept his eyes on the little girl, his tail low, waiting to see if this one person, this one small human, could do what an entire military could not. Save him. The dart fired. But this story does not start here. It starts 3 hours earlier, on a quiet morning, when Amani Jeon stepped into her backyard and found the impossible standing at the edge of her yard, a dog that was supposed to scare her. But 10-year-old Amani Jeon did not see danger. She saw loneliness, she saw grief, she saw herself. So she did something nobody else had thought to do. Asked him a question.
Do you want to play? Do you want to play?
This is the story of how a lost girl and a broken soldier found each other, and how one simple question changed both of their lives forever. Sit back and relax. Let's explore this story together. Also, don't forget to tell me if you want to see more dog stories on this channel. The photograph sat on the breakfast table the same way it did every single morning. Amani never really thought about putting it there anymore. It just happened, like brushing her teeth or putting on her socks. She would come downstairs and there it would be, her sister's face smiling back at her from that old school picture. Asha had been 16 in that photo. Her braids were pulled back neat and tight, and she wore the silver necklace their grandmother had sent all the way from Tanzania. 2 weeks after that picture was taken, Asha disappeared during a school field trip. That was 10 years ago. Amani was 10 now. She had been 3 when it happened. Sometimes she tried really hard to remember what Asha's voice sounded like. She would close her eyes and try to hear it, try to remember the way Asha used to call her name or laugh at their dad's terrible jokes, but it never quite came back right. It was like trying to remember a dream after you wake up. The harder you try, the more it slips away. The house was always quiet in the mornings. Not the good kind of quiet, like when you are reading a really good book and everything else disappears. This was the other kind. The kind that feels heavy, like a blanket you cannot kick off. Her dad made breakfast without humming the songs he used to hum. Her mom poured coffee without singing the Swahili songs from back home in Tanzania. Amani ate her rice and egg while the photograph watched from beside the orange juice. "Amani," her father said softly, "school starts in 1 hour." "I know, Appa." "Did you do all your homework?" "Yes." "All of it? Even the math?" "Yes, even the math." He nodded and went back to his coffee. Her mother reached across the table and touched Amani's hand, just for a second. It was quick, but Amani knew what it meant. It meant, "I love you. I see you. I am here." Amani squeezed her mom's hand back. After breakfast, she was supposed to brush her teeth and pack her school bag, but instead she slipped out the side door into the yard. The air felt cool and fresh. It had rained during the night, and everything smelled clean and new, like the earth had just taken a bath. Amani liked mornings like this. She walked across the wet grass, her sneakers making dark footprints, and that is when she saw him. A dog. But not just any dog. This dog was huge, massive. He stood perfectly still at the edge of their yard, watching her with dark eyes that did not blink even once. Amani stopped walking. Her heart started doing something funny in her chest, like it could not decide whether to speed up or slow down. The dog was wearing some kind of vest. It looked official, like something a police dog would wear. There was a tag hanging from his collar that caught the morning light. His fur was mostly black, with some gray mixed in, short and sleek, and he was built like he could run for miles without getting tired. Amani had seen this dog before. Not in real life, but on TV. She remembered sitting on the couch with her mom 2 weeks ago, watching the evening news. The reporter had sounded very serious, the way grown-ups sound when they want you to pay attention. The woman on TV had said that a military dog named Ash had gone missing after his handler died. She said people should stay inside and not go near him if they saw him. They had shown video of Ash standing next to a soldier, both of them getting medals. The camera had zoomed in close on the dog's face, and Amani had leaned forward to look at him better, look at his eyes. "Mom," she had said quietly. "He looks sad." Her mother had glanced at the screen and then back at her knitting. "He is a working dog, sweetie. He is trained for important jobs. But he does not look happy. He looks lonely." Amani had put her hand on the TV screen right over the dog's face. "I wish he had a real home. Someone to just play with him." Her mom had not said anything back, and Amani had stayed quiet. But she had thought about that dog for days. She wondered where he slept at night. She wondered if anyone talked to him in a nice voice, not just giving him orders. And now here he was, standing in her yard. Her brain told her she should probably go inside. She should get her parents. She should be careful. The way they had taught her to be ever since Asha disappeared and the world became a place where scary things could happen. But her feet would not move toward the house. Instead, she tilted her head a little and looked at the dog, really looked. He was not growling. His teeth were not showing. His tail was not stiff and high like dogs get when they are about to attack. He was just standing there, watching her the same way she was watching him. "Hi," Amani said. Her voice came out softer than she meant it to. The dog's ears moved. She took one small step forward. He did not move. "Are you Ash?" The dog's head tilted to one side just a tiny bit. Amani felt a little spark of excitement. He understood. She was sure of it. "You ran away," she said, taking another step closer. "Everyone is looking for you." Ash kept his eyes on her face. There was something in them. Something Amani recognized because she saw it in her own mirror sometimes. Loneliness. The kind that sits deep down inside where nobody can see it unless they really look. "You must be really tired," Amani said. She was close enough now that she could touch him if she wanted to. But she did not yet. "Are you hungry?" He blinked slowly. Amani looked back at the house. No one was at the windows. Her parents did not know she was out here. She probably had 5 more minutes before her mom came looking. She made up her mind fast. She reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out a small blue rubber ball. It was kind of old and chewed up on one side from years of playing. She held it up so Ash could see it. "Do you want to play?" Nothing happened for a second. Then Ash's tail wagged. Just once. Amani smiled so big her cheeks hurt. She threw the ball, not too far, just an easy toss. Ash moved so fast it made her jump a little. He leaped into the air, caught the ball in his mouth with a snap, landed perfectly on all 4 feet, and trotted right back to her. He dropped the ball at her feet and sat down, looking up at her like he was waiting for her to say he did a good job. Amani laughed, a real laugh, the kind that bubbles up from somewhere deep inside and surprises you. She picked up the ball and threw it again. Ash caught it again. He brought it back and sat down again. They did this over and over. Throw, catch, return, throw, catch, return. Amani's smile got bigger with every throw. Ash's tail wagged faster and faster. The sun was coming up higher now, making everything look golden and warm, and Amani felt lighter than she had in forever. "You are such a good boy," she told him, scratching behind his ears when he brought the ball back for the 7th time. "Such a good boy, Ash." He leaned into her hand and closed his eyes for just a second, and Amani's heart felt like it was cracking open in the best way. "Amani!" She jumped. Ash's head snapped toward the house. Her mother was standing in the doorway wearing her pajamas, her eyes huge and scared. "Amani, get away from that dog right now." "Mom, it is okay. We are just playing." "Amani, I am serious. Come here right now." "He is not dangerous. Look, we are playing fetch." Her mother took 3 steps forward, and that is when she really saw him. She saw how big he was, saw the vest, saw the tag on his collar. Her face changed. "Oh my God," her mother whispered. "Oh my God. That is the dog from the news. That is." Her eyes rolled back in her head. She fainted, just dropped right there on the front step like someone had turned off a switch. "Mom!" Amani started running toward her mother, but Ash was faster. He shot forward and put himself between Amani and her mom. Not in a mean way, but like he was trying to keep Amani from tripping and falling. Her dad came running out a second later in his slippers, his phone already in his hand. He saw her mom on the ground, saw Amani, saw the giant dog, and his face went through about 5 different expressions in 2 seconds. "Do not move," he said to Amani. His voice was tight and controlled, the way it got when he was trying very hard not to panic. "Stay exactly where you are." "Appa, he is not going to hurt anyone. We were just playing." "Amani, I need you to listen to me very carefully. I need you to... We were playing. Look." She held up the ball like that would make everything okay. Her father bent down next to her mom, checking to make sure she was breathing, but his eyes never left Ash. "I'm calling an ambulance." "She just fainted. She's going to be fine." "Yes, for your mother. And then I am calling the military." Amani felt her stomach drop all the way to her feet. "No, Appa, please, you cannot. He did not do anything wrong." "That dog is government property. He's been missing for 2 weeks. Do you understand how serious this is?" "He is not dangerous. He is just sad." Her dad looked at her, really looked at her, and something in his face changed a little. Because Amani was crying now, really crying, and she had not cried like this, big and messy and full of feeling in a very long time. But he still picked up his phone. He still made the call. The hospital smelled like cleaning spray and old coffee. Amani sat in a chair in the waiting room, swinging her legs because they did not touch the floor. Ash had to stay home. The ambulance people would not let him come, so her dad had put him in the garage with food and water before they left. Her dad was in the room with her mom now. He had been in there for 20 minutes and Amani was starting to worry. A nurse walked by and saw her sitting there alone. "Your mom is going to be just fine, sweetie." "I know," Amani said quietly, but knowing and feeling were 2 different things. 10 minutes later, her dad came out. He looked tired, the kind of tired that sleep does not fix. "She is awake," he said. Amani jumped up. "Can I see her?" "She wants to see you." They walked down the hallway together. Her dad pushed open the door and Amani saw her mother sitting up in the hospital bed with a tube in her arm, looking pale but awake. "Hi, Mama," Amani said, her voice small. "Hi, baby." Her mom's voice sounded scratchy, like her throat hurt. "Come here." Amani climbed carefully onto the bed and curled up next to her mother. Her mom smelled like she always did, like the coconut oil she used in her hair and the lavender soap she liked. "I am sorry I scared you," her mother said, running her fingers through Amani's hair. "When I saw that dog, I thought something bad was going to happen." "I know." Amani. Her mother lifted Amani's chin so they were looking at each other. That dog is not a pet. He is military. He's been trained to do very serious, very dangerous things. Do you understand what I'm saying? He did not do anything bad, Mama. He was just standing there. And then we played fetch, and he was so happy, and his tail was wagging, and... I know, sweetheart. But he is not ours. We have to give him back. Amani's chest got tight. But he does not want to go back. How do you know that? Because he ran away. Animals do not run away from places where they are happy. Her mother's eyes got shiny with tears, but she blinked them away fast. Sometimes things are more complicated than that. Her dad cleared his throat from where he was standing by the door. The military is sending people to pick him up. They will be at the house this afternoon. No, Amani said. She sat up fast. Please, can't we just keep him for a little while, just until he's ready to go back? Please? We do not have a choice, Amani, her father said, but his voice was gentle. But that is not fair. He did not do anything wrong. He just wanted to play. Her mother pulled her close again. I know it does not feel fair, but sometimes we have to do hard things even when they do not feel fair. Amani wanted to argue more, but she could see it would not help. Grown-ups got that look sometimes, the look that meant their minds were made up and nothing you said would change it. Okay, she whispered. But inside she felt like something was breaking. When they got home, Ash was sitting in the garage waiting. The second Amani opened the door, his tail started going crazy. She ran to him and threw her arms around his neck, and he licked her face all over. They are coming to take you away, she whispered into his fur. I am so sorry. Ash just kept licking her face like he was trying to tell her it was okay. For the next 2 hours, Amani stayed with him. She threw the ball in the backyard over and over. She found an old brush in the garage and brushed his fur until it shined. She told him everything. About school, about her sister, about how sometimes she felt lonely even when there were people around. Ash listened to every word, his dark eyes watching her face. Her mother stood at the kitchen window and watched them play. Tears ran down her face, but she did not make a sound. When the military trucks pulled up in front of the house, Amani felt it like a punch in the stomach. 3 big, dark trucks parked right in front. Soldiers got out, moving in that careful way soldiers move. Her mother came outside and gently pulled Amani behind her. Stay with me, her mother said quietly. The soldiers walked toward them slowly. There were 6 of them, all wearing uniforms, all watching Ash like they thought he might suddenly attack. The last person to get out of the middle truck was different from the others. He was younger, maybe 25 or so. He had different badges on his shoulders that probably meant he was in charge. His face was serious but not mean. Mrs. Jeon, he said, and he bowed a little bit the way Korean people do when they are being polite. I am Captain Han Juwon. Thank you for keeping him safe. Amani's mother nodded but did not smile. Of course. Captain Han looked at Ash, then at Amani, who had stepped out from behind her mother and was now standing right between the soldiers and the dog. Please do not take him, Amani said. Her voice shook, but she did not move. Captain Han bent down on one knee so his face was level with hers. You must be Amani. Yes. That was very brave of you this morning, playing with him. But Ash is a military working dog. He needs to come back with us. He does not want to go back. I know it might seem that way to you, but he's sad there. He ran away because he was sad. Captain Han's jaw got tight for just a second. He ran away because the person who took care of him died. He's confused, but we will take good care of him. Will you love him? Amani asked. Her eyes were fierce, even though tears were running down her face. Will you play with him and tell him he is a good boy and make sure he knows he is not alone? Captain Han stopped talking for a second. Just 1 second. But that second told Amani everything. You will not, she said, and her voice cracked. You will just make him work and work and work. You will tell him what to do, and he will do it because he is a good dog, and that is what he was trained for. But he will not be happy. He will just be empty inside. Amani, her mother said gently, putting a hand on her shoulder. Sometimes, Captain Han said quietly, life is not about being happy. Sometimes it is about doing what we are supposed to do. That is a terrible way to live, Amani said. Captain Han looked surprised, like maybe no one had ever said something like that to him before. One of the other soldiers stepped forward. He was holding something that looked like a big syringe. No! Amani threw herself in front of Ash, spreading her arms wide. Please! He did not do anything wrong. He just wanted someone to see him. He just wanted to play. Amani, you need to move, the soldier said. He is not dangerous. He is not broken. He just needs someone to love him properly. Her mother was crying now, trying to pull Amani back. Her father had come out of the house and he looked like his heart was breaking. Let them do their job, Amani, her dad said, and his voice was all thick and strange. Amani looked at her father and felt something crack inside. You called them. You promised you would keep us safe, and you called them anyway. I am keeping you safe, her father said, but he sounded like he was trying to convince himself more than her. The soldier raised the tranquilizer gun. Ash did not try to run. He did not bark. He did not fight back. He just kept looking at Amani. The dart hit him in the shoulder. He flinched a little, but he still did not look away from her. His legs started shaking, but his eyes stayed on Amani's face. Ash! Amani broke away from her mother and ran to him. She wrapped her arms around his big neck. I am sorry. I am so sorry. I wanted to protect you and I could not. Ash's legs wobbled. He went down slow and careful, like he was trying not to scare her even though the medicine was pulling him under. Amani went down with him, pressing her forehead against his. We will see each other again, she whispered. I promise you, Ash. I do not know how, but we will, I swear it. His eyes closed. The soldiers moved in fast. They lifted his sleeping body onto a stretcher. Amani's mother pulled her away and held her tight while she sobbed so hard she could not breathe right. Captain Han watched all of this. His face was very blank, very still, like he was working hard not to show what he was feeling. When the stretcher was loaded into the truck, he turned to the Jeon family. He will be taken care of, he said quietly. Will he really? Mrs. Jeon asked. Her voice was sharp in a way Amani had never heard before. Sharp and angry and sad all at once. Captain Han did not answer. He bowed one more time, climbed into the truck, and they drove away. Amani stood in the yard with her mother's arms around her and watched until she could not see the trucks anymore. Inside, on the breakfast table, the photograph of Asha still sat in its usual spot. Now there were 2 people missing from their house. 3 days went by. Amani went to school. She came home. She did her homework. She ate dinner when her parents told her to. She answered questions when people asked her things. But she was not really there. Her teacher sent a note home on the 4th day. It said, Amani seems distracted lately. Is everything okay at home? Her mother read the note while sitting across from Amani at the kitchen table. Amani was pushing rice around on her plate, making little mountains and valleys, but not actually eating any of it. Amani, sweetie, you really need to eat something. I am not hungry. You have barely eaten anything since they took Ash away. Her mother did not finish the sentence, but they both heard it hanging in the air between them anyway. That night, Amani lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Her mother sat outside her bedroom door, crying so quietly she thought no one could hear. But Amani heard. Her dad found her mom there an hour later. "We did the right thing," he said, but he sounded like he was trying to talk himself into believing it. "Did we really?" Amani's mother looked up at him. Her face was wet. "Look at what it is doing to her. He was a military dog. He was dangerous. He was her friend. I know that. After 10 long years of watching our daughter just go through the motions of living without really living, she finally felt something real. She was happy. For 2 hours, she was actually truly happy." Her mother's voice cracked, "And we took that away from her." Amani's father sat down on the floor next to his wife. He took her hand and did not say anything, because there was nothing to say that would make it better. They sat there in the hallway, listening to their daughter not sleeping on the other side of the door. 120 kilometers north, at the military base, things were not better. Ash had been back for 4 days. He had not eaten anything. He had not left his kennel. He would not look at any of the trainers or respond to any commands or do anything at all. Captain Han Juwon stood outside Ash's kennel, looking through the chain-link door. "He has to eat something," Lieutenant Park said. He was one of the senior trainers and he sounded worried. "We have tried everything. His favorite treats, fresh meat, even just sitting with him quietly. He will not touch anything." "I know," Captain Han said. "Sir, if this continues—" Lieutenant Park did not finish the sentence, but they both knew what he meant. "Give it another week," Captain Han said quietly. His eyes were still on Ash. "He is grieving. Animals grieve the same way people do. With respect, sir, he was already unstable before this. Now he is not even there anymore. It is like he is just an empty shell." Captain Han did not say anything because Lieutenant Park was right. Ash lay on his side in the kennel with his eyes open, but not really seeing anything. Before, when he had first gone rogue after his handler died, he had been wild and unpredictable and reactive, dangerous in his grief. Now he was something worse. He was hollow. Like someone had scooped out everything inside him that made him Ash and left behind just the shape of a dog. The brilliant K-9 who had once saved 17 lives was gone. "Sir?" Lieutenant Park said carefully. "That little girl, the one who was playing with him that morning. Do you think maybe if she... is there any possible way we could..." "No," Captain Han said firmly. "She is a child. This is a military base. It is not possible." But even as he said it, he kept thinking about the way Amani had stood between them and Ash, the way she had said he just wanted someone to see him, the way Ash's tail had wagged for the first time in weeks when he saw her. "You are dismissed," Captain Han said. Lieutenant Park left. Captain Han stayed there, watching the dog who would not eat, would not sleep, would not fight anymore, who was just waiting to fade away completely. 1 week after Ash was taken, Amani's mother made a decision. She found her husband in his little office, looking at papers from work. "We have to do something," she said. He looked up. "What can we possibly do?" "I do not know yet, but I am not going to just stand here and watch our daughter disappear. Not again." "What exactly are you suggesting?" "I am suggesting we fight back." "Fight the military? How?" "However we have to." Her voice was strong now, like steel. "I already lost one daughter. I absolutely will not lose another one." Her husband looked at his wife. This woman who had left her whole life in Tanzania to build a new one with him, who had buried her grief for 10 years so she could keep functioning and taking care of their family, who was finally drawing a line in the sand. "Okay," he said. "What do you want to do?" "I want to drive up to that base. I want to talk to whoever's in charge, and I want to find out if there is any way at all that our daughter and that dog can be together. They will say no. Then we will keep asking until they say yes. This is completely crazy. Maybe it is, but I am done being reasonable when it comes to my child's happiness." Her husband looked at her for a long moment. Then he stood up and got his car keys. They did not tell Amani where they were going, just that they would be back by dinner, and that her aunt was coming to stay with her while they were gone. The drive to the military base took 2.5 hours. When they got to the gate, the guard looked at them suspiciously. "Can I help you?" "We need to see Captain Han Juan," Mrs. Jeon said. She used her firmest voice, the one that meant she was not going to take no for an answer. "My name is Mrs. Jeon. He will know who I am." The guard checked his computer, made a phone call, and 10 minutes later he waved them through. Someone walked them to a small conference room. Captain Han was already there, standing up when they came in. "Mr. and Mrs. Jeon." He bowed. "This is unexpected." "We need to talk to you about Ash," Mrs. Jeon said. She did not bother with small talk. Captain Han's face stayed carefully blank. "I'm not sure there is anything to discuss. How is he doing?" There was a pause. "Not well. Is he eating?" "No." "Is he training?" "No." "Is he responding to anyone at all?" "No." Mrs. Jeon leaned forward in her chair. "Our daughter is not eating either. She is not talking to us. She barely sleeps. In 1 week she has become a ghost of herself." Her voice cracked a little. "We have been here before, Captain. 10 years ago we lost our oldest daughter. It took us years to even start healing from that. Amani was just beginning to come back to us, to really live again. And now she is disappearing right in front of our eyes, and we cannot just stand by and watch it happen." "I am very sorry," Captain Han said, and he actually sounded like he meant it. "Truly I am, but I do not know what you expect me to do." "Let them see each other," Mr. Jeon said quietly. "That is not how things work here. There are protocols." "I do not care about your protocols," Mrs. Jeon cut him off. "I care about my daughter, and I think, whether you want to admit it or not, you care about that dog." Captain Han's jaw got tight. "They need each other," Mrs. Jeon continued. "I do not understand it. I do not know how it works or why. But I saw the way he looked at her that morning. I saw the way she looked at him. And I know what grief looks like, Captain Han. I have been living with it every single day for 10 years. That dog is grieving. My daughter is grieving, and maybe, just maybe, they can help each other heal. Mrs. Jeon, even if I personally wanted to arrange something like that, I do not have the authority to make that kind of decision. Then take us to someone who does." Captain Han and Mrs. Jeon stared at each other across the table. Finally he said, "Wait here." 20 minutes felt like 20 hours. When Captain Han came back, he had 2 other officers with him. "This is Colonel Yoon and Major Kim," he said. "I explained your situation to them." Colonel Yoon was an older man with gray hair and a stern face. He looked at the Jeons with sharp, intelligent eyes. "You want your daughter to be able to visit a military working dog?" "Yes," Mrs. Jeon said. "That is highly irregular. So is a decorated military K-9 refusing to eat for an entire week." Major Kim was a woman with kind eyes but a no-nonsense expression. She leaned forward. "What makes you think your 10-year-old daughter can do something that our professional handlers cannot?" She is not trying to make him into a soldier, Mrs. Jeon said simply. She just wants to be his friend. The room got very quiet. Colonel Yoon and Major Kim looked at each other. Some kind of silent conversation happened between them, using just their eyes. We have a school here on base, Colonel Yoon said slowly. It is actually one of the best schools in the country. Children of military personnel attend. We also have some specialized advanced programs for gifted students. Mrs. Jeon felt her heart start beating faster. If your daughter were to enroll in our school, Colonel Yoon continued, and if a parent were to stay with her in our family housing, then it would not be irregular at all for her to have supervised contact with our K-9 unit. We could call it part of an educational program about military working dogs. You mean, Mr. Jeon said slowly, you mean she could actually... I am proposing a trial period, 2 months. Your daughter enrolls in our school. One parent stays with her in family housing on base. She has supervised visits with Ash every single day. If his condition improves, and if the arrangement does not cause problems with our operations, we can talk about making it more permanent. Mrs. Jeon's eyes filled up with tears. You would really do that? I would do that for a K-9 who has saved 17 lives and served this country with honor. Colonel Yoon said, he has earned the right to try something different. And if that something different is a 10-year-old girl who wants to play fetch with him, well, stranger things have happened. When could she start? Mrs. Jeon asked. Monday, if that works for you. We will be here. That night, the Jeons sat Amani down at the kitchen table. She was picking at her dinner, moving rice from one side of her plate to the other, but not really eating any of it. Then her mother said something that made Amani look up fast. Amani, your father and I went somewhere today. Amani put down her fork. Her eyes got narrow and suspicious. Where? To the military base, her mother said. Where Ash is. Amani went completely still. Why would you go there? Because you have been so sad, and we found out that Ash has been sad too. So we wanted to see if maybe there was something we could do to help. What do you mean, help? Her father leaned forward. The base has a school there, Amani. A really good school. One of the best in the whole country, actually. And they said you could go there if you wanted to. Amani blinked. I do not understand. If you went to school at the base, her mother said gently, taking Amani's hand, then you could see Ash every single day. Amani's fork clattered onto her plate. Every day? Like, actually every day? Every single day. But how? Where would I live? I cannot drive there by myself. I'm only 10. You would live there with me, her mother said, squeezing her hand. They have apartments for families. We would stay there together. Your father would have to stay here at first because of his job, but he would visit us on weekends. Amani looked back and forth between her parents. Her eyes were getting shiny. You would come with me? You would actually leave home and come live there with me? Of course I would come with you. You are my daughter. Where you go, I go. That is how it works. Amani's face crumpled and she started crying. But this time it was different. These were not sad tears. These were the kind of tears that come when something inside you that was all twisted up suddenly loosens. She jumped out of her chair and threw her arms around her mother's neck. Her mother held her tight, and they both cried together. Her father came around the table and wrapped his arms around both of them. They stayed like that for a long time, all squished together in a family hug. When? Amani finally asked, pulling back and wiping her face with her sleeve. When can I go? Monday, her mother said, smiling through her own tears. But that is only 3 days away. I know. Can you wait 3 whole days? Amani nodded so hard her whole head bobbed up and down. I can wait. I can definitely wait 3 days. That night, Amani actually slept. Really slept. All the way through until morning without waking up once. And when she opened her eyes, the sun was shining through her window, and she smiled before she even remembered why. Then she remembered. She was going to see Ash again. Monday morning came, and Amani had been awake since 5 in the morning, even though they did not need to leave until 8. She stood in the driveway with her mother, watching her father load bags into the car. She was wearing her favorite shirt and her lucky socks, and she could not stop bouncing on her toes. "Do you have everything?" her father asked for what was probably the millionth time. "Yes, Appa." "Your books? Your clothes? Your toothbrush?" "Yes, yes, and yes." "Your—" He paused, looking like he was trying to think of something else to ask about. "Honey," Amani's mother said, touching his arm gently. "We have everything. I promise." Her father nodded, but his eyes looked wet. He bent down so he was at Amani's level. "You are going to take good care of your mom, right?" "I will." "And you are going to work really hard at your new school." "I will." "And you are going to—" His voice got all thick and strange. "You are going to be happy, okay, Amani? You are going to let yourself be happy." Amani threw her arms around her father's neck and held on tight. "I love you so much, Appa." "I love you too, my sweet girl. So, so much." They hugged for a long time. Then her father stood up and kissed her mother and made her promise to call as soon as they got there. Amani waved out the back window until her father was just a tiny speck, and then they were on the highway heading north. "Are you nervous?" her mother asked, looking at Amani in the rearview mirror. "A little bit," Amani admitted. "About the school? Or about seeing Ash?" "Both. What if he does not remember me? It has been a whole week. That is like really long in dog time." Her mother smiled. "He's going to remember you, baby. I would bet my favorite cooking pot on it." That made Amani giggle because her mother loved that cooking pot more than almost anything. But even though she laughed, Amani's hands shook the whole drive there. The military base looked exactly like she imagined. Tall fences, big buildings, soldiers walking around looking important and busy. They checked in at the gate, and a young soldier walked them to the family housing area. The apartment was smaller than their house, but it was nice. It had 2 bedrooms, a little kitchen, and a living room with a couch and a TV. "This is really ours?" Amani asked, her eyes big. "For as long as we are here," her mother said. They spent the next hour unpacking. Amani set up her room exactly how she liked it. Books on the shelf, clothes in the dresser, and a photo of her father and Asha on the table next to her bed. She was putting her last shirt away when her mother called from the living room. "Amani, someone is here to see us." Amani ran out so fast she almost slipped on the floor in her socks. Captain Han was standing in the doorway in his uniform. He bowed politely. "Mrs. Jeon, Amani, welcome. I wanted to make sure you both arrived safely." "We did. Thank you so much," Amani's mother said. Captain Han looked at Amani and his serious face got just a tiny bit softer. "Are you ready?" Amani's heart jumped into her throat. "Ready for what?" "To see Ash, if you would like to." "Yes." The word came out almost like a shout. "Yes, please, yes, I want to, yes." Captain Han's mouth twitched like maybe he wanted to smile but was not sure if that was allowed. "Follow me then." They walked across the base and Amani thought her heart might actually beat right out of her chest. Her mother kept one hand on her shoulder, probably to keep her from running ahead. Captain Han led them to a building with a sign that said, K9 Unit. Inside, Amani could hear dogs barking, their voices echoing off the walls. They walked down a hallway with doors on both sides. Soldiers stopped what they were doing to watch them pass. At the very last door, Captain Han stopped. "He is in here," he said quietly. "I need to tell you something, though. He has not responded to anyone since he came back. Not to any of us. But maybe—" He did not finish his sentence. Amani stepped up to the door and looked through the little window. Ash was lying in the corner with his back to the door. He was not moving at all. "Ash?" Amani whispered. Nothing happened. Her heart sank all the way down to her feet. "He cannot hear you through the door," Captain Han said gently. "It is too thick." But then Ash's ear twitched, just one ear. Then his tail moved, just the tiniest bit. He lifted his head slowly, like he was not sure if he should believe what he was hearing. Then he turned around, and his eyes found Amani's face through the window. For 1 second, nobody moved. Then Ash's whole body started shaking, not like he was scared, but like he had too much feeling inside and it had to come out somehow. His tail started wagging so hard it was just a blur. "Open it," Amani said, her voice urgent and desperate. Please open the door." Captain Han unlocked it. Ash did not wait even 1 second. He shot forward like he had been fired from a cannon. Amani rushed to meet him, and they crashed into each other right in the middle of the room. Ash was making sounds Amani had never heard a dog make before. Little whines and huffs and something that sounded almost like crying. He was licking her face, her hair, her hands, her arms, everywhere he could reach. His tail was wagging so hard his whole back end was wiggling. "I missed you so much," Amani said, and she was crying and laughing at the same time. I missed you. I thought I would never see you again." Ash pressed his whole body against her like he was trying to make sure she was real. They sank down onto the floor together, and Amani buried her face in his fur and just held on. Her mother was crying too, one hand over her mouth. Captain Han was looking at something on his tablet. Up in his office, Colonel Yoon was watching the same thing on his computer screen. So were about 10 other soldiers who had stopped their work to see what was happening. Nobody said a word, because what was happening in that room was the kind of thing that does not need words. Amani stayed there for 2 whole hours. She just sat with Ash on the floor of his kennel, talking to him. She told him about the last week, about how sad she had been, about how she was going to live here now and go to school here and see him every single day. "Every day, Ash," she said, scratching that spot behind his ears that he loved. "I get to see you every single day. Is that not the best thing ever?" His tail had not stopped wagging the entire time. When Captain Han finally said they needed to let Ash rest, Amani did not cry. "I will be back tomorrow," she promised, kissing the top of his head. "Right after school ends, I will come straight here, okay?" Ash licked her hand. She left the kennel and Ash stayed sitting right by the door, watching her go. But his eyes were not empty anymore. They were bright and alive and full of hope. Walking back to the apartment, her mother put her arm around Amani's shoulders. "How do you feel?" "Better than I've felt in forever," Amani said. She was grinning so big her cheeks hurt. "Mama, did you see him? Did you see how happy he was?" "I saw, baby. He remembered me. Even after a whole week, he remembered." "Of course he did. Some things you do not forget." That night, Amani video called her father and told him absolutely everything. He jumped up so fast, Appa, and his tail was wagging like crazy, and he licked my whole entire face. I probably have dog germs all over me, but I do not even care. Her father was smiling bigger than he had smiled in weeks. "I am so happy for you, Amani. Thank you for letting me come here. Thank you so much. You do not need to thank me. I just want you to be happy. That is all I have ever wanted. When she hung up and got ready for bed, her mother came to tuck her in. "Big day tomorrow," her mother said, smoothing down Amani's hair. "I know, first day at a brand new school. Are you worried?" "A little, but also excited. You are going to do great. You are smart and kind and brave. They are going to love you." "Mama?" "Yes, baby." "Thank you for coming here with me. I know you miss Appa and you miss our house." Her mother's eyes got shiny, but she smiled. "There is nowhere else I would rather be than with you." She kissed Amani's forehead, turned off the light, and closed the door. Amani lay in her new bed in her new room and smiled up at the dark ceiling. Tomorrow she would start a new school. But today she got Ash back, and that made everything else feel possible. The school was different from any school Amani had ever seen. It was smaller, only about 200 kids total, but her teacher, Miss Song, told her it was one of the best schools in the whole country. "We have high standards here," Miss Song said on Amani's first morning. "But I looked at your records from your old school. You are smart. You can definitely keep up." Amani nodded, trying to look confident even though her stomach felt like it was full of butterflies doing gymnastics. She made friends faster than she expected. At lunch, a girl named Hanul sat down right next to her and said, "You are new, right? I have been here since I was in kindergarten, so I know everything about everything. Want me to show you around?" "Yes, please," Amani said, relieved. Hanul introduced her to Minjun, whose father was a colonel, and Jiwoo, whose mother was a helicopter pilot. "Why did you transfer here?" Jiwoo asked, biting into her sandwich. Amani hesitated. She did not want to explain the whole complicated story about Ash. "My mom and I needed a change," she finally said. It was not the whole truth, but it was enough. The schoolwork was harder than her old school. Way harder. But Amani found that she actually liked it. She had to think more, work more, try harder. And when she got answers right, it felt even better because she knew she had really earned it. Every day at 3:30, right when school ended, Amani would run to the K-9 unit. Her mother always came with her, sitting with the handlers and other adults while Amani spent time with Ash. At first they just sat together in his kennel. Then they played fetch in the training yard. Then, after a few weeks, Captain Han started teaching Amani things. "He responds to commands in Korean," Captain Han explained one afternoon, showing her the hand signals. "Like this for sit, this for stay, this for come." Amani practiced carefully, her movements slow and exact. Ash responded immediately, doing exactly what she asked. "He is so smart," Amani breathed. "He is," Captain Han agreed. "And you are doing very well too." Amani felt her cheeks get hot, but she smiled. Over the next weeks, she learned more and more about how dogs use their noses to find things, about how to read Ash's body language, about the special bond between working dogs and their handlers. "It is not just about giving commands," Captain Han told her one day. They were sitting on a bench watching Ash run around the training yard. "It is about trust. Ash needs to know that you will take care of him the same way he takes care of you." "I will," Amani said, her voice fierce and certain. "Always, forever. I will always take care of him." Captain Han looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded, like she had just passed some kind of test she did not know she was taking. Time started moving in a new rhythm. School in the morning, but Ash in the afternoon, homework and dinner and video calls with her father at night. 2 months went by. Amani was not just keeping up with her schoolwork anymore. She was doing really, really well. She got the highest score in her class on a math test. She won a reading competition. Her teacher sent a note home that said Amani is a joy to have in class. Her mother was so proud she hung the note on their refrigerator with a magnet. One afternoon, Amani and her mother were called to Colonel Yoon's office. Amani felt nervous walking in. What if the trial period was over? What if they had to leave? But Colonel Yoon smiled when he saw them, and Amani relaxed a tiny bit. "Thank you for coming," he said. "I wanted to talk to you about the trial period." Amani's stomach clenched. "Are we in trouble?" "Quite the opposite, actually." Colonel Yoon leaned forward. "Amani, in the 2 months since you have been here, Ash has made more progress than he made in the entire year before. He is eating all his meals, he's training again, and Captain Han says he is performing better than ever." Amani's eyes went wide. "Really? Really? And your teacher tells me you are doing excellent work in school, top of your class in 3 different subjects." Amani felt her face get hot. "We would like you to stay," Colonel Yoon said, "for as long as you want. Permanently if you and your family agree." "Permanently?" her mother repeated. "Yes. You would continue living in family housing. Amani would keep going to school here, and we would like to make her Ash's official handler in training." Amani almost fell out of her chair. "His handler? Like, his actual real handler?" "Under Captain Han's supervision, of course. You are still young. But you would help with his training and his care. And as you get older, if you are still interested, we can talk about an official military path." "Can I really do that?" Amani looked at her mother, then back at Colonel Yoon. "You would really let me?" "If you want to, yes." "I want to, yes, I really, really want to." Colonel Yoon actually smiled. "Then it is settled." When they left his office, Amani was practically floating down the hallway. "Did that really just happen?" she asked her mother. "It really did. I am Ash's handler." "Handler in training," her mother corrected, but she was smiling. "Still counts." That night when Amani called her father, he cried. "I am so proud of you," he said, his voice all thick and wobbly. "So incredibly proud. I wish you were here, Appa." "I know, baby. I wish I was there too." "Do you think maybe you could get a job up here? Like eventually?" Her father was quiet for a moment. "Let me see what I can find out." "Really? You mean it?" "I mean it." Amani's heart felt like it might burst. Maybe, just maybe, they could all be together again. Time kept moving forward. Amani turned 11, then 12, then 13. She got taller. Her voice changed a little. She started asking harder questions and reading bigger books. Her father visited every weekend at first, driving up on Friday nights and leaving Sunday afternoons. But then when Amani was 12, something amazing happened. Her father got a transfer. The day he showed up with all his boxes and suitcases, moving into their apartment for good, Amani cried happy tears. "We are all together now," she said, hugging him so tight she probably squeezed all the air out of his lungs. "Finally, we are all together." "Finally," he agreed, kissing the top of her head. The Jeon family was whole again. Well, mostly whole. Asha's photograph still sat on their kitchen table every morning. Amani still thought about her sister every single day, but she had Ash. She had her parents, she had her school and her training, and a purpose that made her excited to wake up every morning. She read books about military strategy that Captain Han let her borrow. She had debates with soldiers who were 3 times her age about tactics and planning. She won math competitions against kids from all over the country. "You are going to be a general someday," Hanul told her one afternoon while they were studying together. "That is the plan," Amani said, grinning. She and Ash were completely inseparable now. He went to her school events when the rules allowed it, waiting patiently outside when they did not. She spent every afternoon with him, training and playing and sometimes just sitting quietly while she did her homework. One night when she was 13 and drowning in preparation for a huge exam, she got an idea. "Ash, can you hold this?" she asked, offering him a flashcard. He took it gently in his teeth, careful not to tear the paper. "Perfect. Okay. Now I am going to read the question. And if I get it right, you drop the card. Ready?" They practiced like that for an hour. It was probably the silliest study method in the history of studying, but it worked. Her mother walked by and saw them, shook her head, and smiled. "You two are something else." "We are a highly efficient team," Amani corrected. "You are certainly something." Captain Han, watching on the security camera from his office, actually laughed out loud. On Amani's 13th birthday, her parents threw her a party in their apartment. Her school friends came. Some of the younger soldiers came. Even Captain Han came, bringing a book about military history that Amani had been wanting forever. "Thank you so much," she said, hugging him quickly. Captain Han looked uncomfortable with the hug, but he did not pull away. "You have earned it. You are doing exceptional work, Amani." "I have a really good teacher," she said. "Yes, well." He cleared his throat in that way adults do when they feel embarrassed. "Keep up the good work." Ash sat next to Amani wearing a ridiculous birthday hat that Jiwoo had insisted on putting on him. When Amani blew out her candles, she made a wish. She wished they could find Asha. She wished their family could finally, truly be complete. She did not tell anyone what she wished for, but that night, lying in bed with Ash curled up on the floor next to her because he was too big for the bed now, she thought about her sister. She wondered where Asha was, if she was safe, if she ever thought about them. "I have not forgotten you," Amani whispered into the darkness. "I will never forget you." Ash's tail thumped against the floor twice, and Amani fell asleep, still hoping that somehow, someday, her wish might come true. 3 weeks after her 13th birthday, something happened that would change everything. A new soldier transferred to the base. Amani was eating lunch with her friends in the cafeteria when the announcement came over the speakers. "New personnel arriving today. Please extend your usual warm welcome." Transfers happened all the time, so Amani did not think much about it. But 3 days later, she was in the training yard with Ash when she saw her. A young woman in uniform, maybe 25 or 26 years old, walking across the yard with Captain Han. She had dark hair pulled back in a neat bun, and she moved with the kind of confidence that comes from knowing exactly what you are doing. Something about her made Amani pause, the way she walked, the way she tilted her head when Captain Han was talking to her. "Who is that?" Amani asked Lieutenant Park, who was supervising her training session. "New transfer, Lieutenant Yoon Hana. She's joining the K-9 unit." "She works with dogs?" "Apparently she is very good with them." Amani watched Lieutenant Yoon for another moment, then turned back to Ash. But something in her chest felt strange, like a tiny bell ringing far away. Over the next week, Amani kept seeing Lieutenant Yoon everywhere. In the cafeteria, in the training yard, walking past her school. And every time, that strange feeling got a little bit stronger. One afternoon, Lieutenant Yoon walked up to her in the training yard. "You must be Amani, right?" "Yes." "I have heard so much about you. And about Ash." She smiled, and it was warm and genuine. "And do you mind if I say hello to him?" "Sure." Lieutenant Yoon crouched down and held out her hand. Ash sniffed it carefully, then decided she was okay and let her pet him. "He is beautiful," Lieutenant Yoon said. "Thank you." "I heard you are his handler in training. That is really impressive for someone your age." Amani shrugged, suddenly shy. "Captain Han is a really good teacher." "I'm sure he is, but it still takes real skill." Lieutenant Yoon stood up. Maybe we could train together sometime. I would love to learn more about Ash. I would like that, Amani said, and she meant it. Over the next weeks, they did train together. Lieutenant Yoon was patient and kind. She listened when Amani talked, and she never made Amani feel like she was just a kid who did not know anything important. Amani found herself looking forward to the times when Lieutenant Yoon was around. There was something comforting about her, something that felt like home in a way Amani could not quite explain. She did not know yet that Lieutenant Yoon was about to become the most important person in her life. She did not know that the strange feeling in her chest was recognition. She did not know that she had just found the sister she thought she had lost forever. But she would find out soon. Very soon. One afternoon, about 3 weeks after Lieutenant Yoon arrived, Amani was helping her clean up after a training session. It was a hot day, and both of them were sweaty and tired, but in a good way. Lieutenant Yoon rolled up her sleeves to wipe her face with a towel, and that is when Amani saw it. A birthmark on Lieutenant Yoon's upper left arm. It was shaped like a crescent moon. Amani's brain went completely blank for a second. Then it started racing so fast she felt dizzy. "Your birthmark," she said, and her voice came out strange and tight. Lieutenant Yoon glanced down at her arm. "Oh, yeah. I have had it my whole life. It is kind of weird looking, I know." "No, it is not weird. It is just, where are you from?" Lieutenant Yoon looked surprised by the question. "I'm not really sure, actually. That probably sounds strange." "What do you mean you are not sure?" "I was adopted when I was 16. I do not remember anything from before that." Amani felt her heart start pounding hard. "Nothing at all?" "No. I was in some kind of accident, they think. I hit my head really badly, and when I woke up in the hospital, I could not remember my name or where I came from or anything. I had complete amnesia." Lieutenant Yoon sat down on a bench, and her face looked sad. "The family who found me tried to help me remember, but nothing ever came back. Eventually they adopted me, and I took their last name. Yoon." "How old were you when the accident happened?" 16. "Why are you asking all these questions?" "Just curious," Amani said, but her hands were shaking. 16 years old. A crescent-shaped birthmark on her left arm. No memory of her past. Asha had been 16 when she disappeared. She had a crescent birthmark on her left arm in the exact same spot. That was 10 years ago. It could not be. Could it? "Do you ever have dreams about your life before?" Amani asked, trying to keep her voice normal. "Sometimes," Lieutenant Yoon said. "I dream about a family, a mother and father, and a little girl, really little, maybe 3 or 4 years old, but I can never see their faces clearly. And when I wake up, I can never remember the details, just the feeling of it." She smiled sadly. "My therapist says my brain might be trying to remember, but something is blocking it." Amani felt like she could not breathe properly. A little girl, 3 or 4 years old. Amani had been 3 when Asha disappeared. "I need to go," Amani said suddenly, standing up fast. "Are you okay? You look kind of pale." "I am fine. I just remembered I have homework. I have to go. Sorry." She practically ran back to the apartment. Her mother was in the kitchen making dinner. "Amani? What is wrong? You look like you have seen a ghost." "Mama, I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer me honestly." Her mother put down the knife she was using to cut vegetables. "Okay. You are scaring me a little bit. What is it?" "Asha's birthmark. Where exactly was it?" All the color drained out of her mother's face. "Why are you asking about this?" "Please, Mama, just tell me." "On her upper left arm, shaped like a crescent moon." Her mother's voice was shaking. "Amani, Why are you asking me about your sister's birthmark? But Amani was already running to her room. She shut the door and sat on her bed and tried to think. This could not be real. It was too impossible, too much like something from a movie. But what if it was real? What if Lieutenant Yoon was Asha? Amani needed proof, real proof, not just a birthmark and a feeling. She thought hard about everything she knew. Lieutenant Yoon had amnesia from a head injury at 16. Asha had disappeared at 16 during a school trip. They never found her body. What if she had not died? What if she had just gotten hurt and lost her memory? Amani knew what she had to do, but it felt scary and huge. She needed a DNA test. The next day at school, Amani could barely concentrate. Her mind kept spinning and spinning. During lunch, she went to the library and used one of the computers. She searched for private DNA testing labs that would send results by email. She found one that looked legitimate and not too expensive. She had been saving her allowance for months. She had enough. That afternoon, she told Lieutenant Yoon she wanted to work on a school project about military service and asked if she could interview her. Lieutenant Yoon said yes and came to the apartment. They talked for an hour. Lieutenant Yoon told stories about her training and why she joined the military. She drank 2 glasses of water while they talked. When she left, she forgot her water glass on the table. Amani waited until her mother went to take a shower. Then she carefully picked up the glass using a clean cloth so she would not mess up the fingerprints or DNA or whatever was on it. She found a hair stuck to the rim. Just one single hair. She put it in a small plastic bag and sealed it carefully. Then she went to the bathroom and used a cotton swab to get a sample from inside her own cheek, the way the DNA testing website had explained. She packaged everything up exactly according to the instructions. She wrote a note explaining that she needed to know if these 2 DNA samples came from siblings. The next day after school, she walked to the post office on base and mailed it. The website said results would take 2 weeks. 2 weeks felt like 2 years. Amani tried to act normal, but it was hard. Every time she saw Lieutenant Yoon, she had to stop herself from staring, from looking for more similarities, more proof. She noticed things she had not noticed before. The way Lieutenant Yoon hummed quietly when she was concentrating on something. Amani's mother had told her once that Asha used to do that exact same thing. The way Lieutenant Yoon took her tea with honey but no sugar. That was how Asha had taken her tea too. The way she laughed, throwing her head back a little. Amani did not remember Asha's laugh, but something about it felt familiar in a deep down way she could not explain. "You have been acting weird lately," Hanul said one day at lunch. "Are you okay?" "I am fine," Amani said. "Just tired." "You sure? You keep spacing out." "I am sure." But she was not sure about anything. She could not tell her parents what she was doing. Not yet. Not until she knew for certain. If she was wrong, she would break their hearts for nothing. If she was right, she would change everything. The 2 weeks crawled by like they were walking backward. Finally, 14 days after she mailed the package, Amani got an email. She was in her room doing homework when her laptop made the little ding sound. She clicked on her email without thinking much about it. Then she saw the subject line. DNA test results. Her hands started shaking so badly she could barely control the mouse. She clicked on the email. It took 1,000,000 years to load, even though it was probably only 3 seconds. Then the words appeared on the screen. Sample A and Sample B show a 99.8% probability of a sibling relationship. Amani stared at the screen. She read it again. And again. And again. 99.8%. That meant yes. That meant they were siblings. That meant Lieutenant Yoon was Asha. That meant her sister was alive. Amani closed her laptop very carefully and very slowly. Then she walked over to where Ash was lying on the floor and sat down next to him. She buried her face in his fur. "I found her," she whispered. "Ash, I found my sister. She is alive. She is here. She has been here the whole time." Ash licked her face and made a soft, whining sound like he understood how big this was. Amani cried into his fur, but these were not sad tears. These were overwhelming, unbelievable, too big to hold inside tears. After a while, she wiped her face and took some deep breaths. She had to tell her parents. She had to tell Asha. But how? You could not just walk up to someone and say, "Hey, I think you are my long-lost sister who disappeared 10 years ago." She needed a plan. That night, Amani lay awake for hours, thinking. By morning, she had figured it out. A family dinner. She would invite Lieutenant Yoon over for a casual family dinner. Her parents would see her. Maybe they would recognize her. Maybe it would be easier if they saw her first instead of just hearing about it. At breakfast, Amani tried to sound super casual. "Mama, can we have someone over for dinner on Saturday?" Her mother looked up from her coffee. "Of course. Who?" "Just a friend from the K-9 unit, Lieutenant Yoon. She is new and does not know many people yet, and I thought it would be nice." "That sounds lovely, baby. I will cook something special." "Nothing too fancy," Amani said quickly. Her heart was beating so fast. "Just normal family dinner." "Okay, normal family dinner." Amani asked Lieutenant Yoon during training that afternoon. "My family is having dinner on Saturday, and I was wondering if maybe you wanted to come. My mom is a really amazing cook." Lieutenant Yoon smiled. "I would love to. Are you sure your parents do not mind?" "They said it was fine. They like meeting my friends." "Then yes, I will be there. Thank you for inviting me." Saturday came. Amani woke up feeling like she might throw up from nervousness. She changed her clothes 4 times. She helped her mother cook even though she was so jittery she kept messing things up. "You were very jumpy today," her mother observed. "Are you feeling okay?" "Just excited," Amani said, which was not a lie. She was excited and terrified and about a million other feelings all mixed together. At 6 o'clock, there was a knock on the door. Amani opened it. Lieutenant Yoon was standing there in regular clothes, not her uniform, holding a small bag. "Hi. I brought some cookies from the bakery in town." "Thank you. Come in." Lieutenant Yoon stepped inside. Amani's mother came out of the kitchen, smiling and wiping her hands on a dish towel. "You must be Lieutenant." She stopped walking. The smile fell off her face. The dish towel slipped out of her hands and landed on the floor. Her mother just stood there, staring at Lieutenant Yoon, her mouth open, her eyes getting huge. "Mom?" Amani said. Her mother did not answer. She made a sound, a weird gasping sound, and then she turned and ran up the stairs. They heard a door slam. Lieutenant Yoon looked completely confused and worried. "Did I do something wrong? Should I leave?" "No," Amani said quickly. "No, please do not leave. She is not feeling well. Let me go check on her." Amani's father came out of the bedroom looking confused. "What is going on? Why did your mother just run upstairs?" Then he saw Lieutenant Yoon. He stopped walking so fast it was like he had hit an invisible wall. All the color drained out of his face. "Appa," Amani said carefully. "This is my friend, Lieutenant Yoon Hana." Her father could not seem to speak. He just stared and stared. Lieutenant Yoon bowed politely, looking more uncomfortable by the second. "It is very nice to meet you, Mr. Jeon. I am sorry if I have come at a bad time." "You did not," Amani said. "Appa, maybe you should go check on Mama." Her father nodded slowly, like he was moving underwater, and went upstairs. Amani and Lieutenant Yoon stood in the hallway, the sound of Amani's mother crying coming from upstairs. "Amani, I think I should really go," Lieutenant Yoon said quietly. "Your parents are clearly upset about something, and I do not want to make it worse. Please do not go. Please. I can explain everything, I promise. Just please give me a few minutes." Lieutenant Yoon looked uncertain, but she nodded. "Okay." 10 minutes went by. They felt like 10 hours. Finally, Amani's parents came down the stairs together. Her mother's eyes were red and puffy from crying. Her father's arm was around her mother's shoulders, holding her up. They sat down on the couch. Lieutenant Yoon sat in the chair across from them. Amani sat next to Lieutenant Yoon. Nobody said anything for a long moment. Then Amani's mother spoke, her voice all rough and broken. "I'm so sorry for running away like that. You must think we are completely crazy." "No, I am worried I upset you somehow," Lieutenant Yoon said. "You did not upset me. You look like someone. Someone we lost a long time ago." "Who?" Amani's father took a deep breath. "Our daughter. Our oldest daughter, Asha. She disappeared 10 years ago during a school trip. We searched for months, but we never found her. We thought she was dead." Lieutenant Yoon's face went soft with sympathy. "I am so sorry. That must have been horrible." "You are exactly her age," Amani's mother continued, and tears were running down her face again. "You look like her. You move like her. You have her." She could not finish. "You have her birthmark," Amani said quietly. Lieutenant Yoon's hand went automatically to her left arm. "Lots of people have birthmarks. Not shaped like a crescent moon on their upper left arm," Amani said. "Not in the exact same spot as my sister had hers." The room got very quiet. "Amani, what are you saying?" her father asked. Amani pulled out her phone and opened the email with the DNA test results. "I had a test done. DNA, Lieutenant Yoon and me." She showed them the screen. "It says 99.8% probability that we are siblings." Her mother made a sound like all the air had been knocked out of her lungs. Lieutenant Yoon stood up fast, shaking her head. No, that is not possible. This is some kind of mistake." "It is not a mistake," Amani said gently. "You were adopted when you were 16 after an accident that gave you amnesia. Asha disappeared when she was 16. You do not remember anything from before. You have dreams about a family with a little girl. That could be anyone. That does not mean. You have her birthmark," Amani's mother whispered, "in the exact same place. The exact same shape." Lieutenant Yoon was breathing hard, looking scared. "I have a family. I have parents who adopted me. My name is Hana Yoon." "Your name was Asha Jeon," Amani's father said quietly. "Before the accident." "No." Lieutenant Yoon backed up toward the door. "This is crazy. This is completely insane. I am not your daughter." "Please." Amani's mother stood up, moving closer but not touching. "Please just look around. Maybe something will feel familiar." "Nothing is going to feel familiar because I have never been here before." But even as she said it, Lieutenant Yoon's eyes were moving around the apartment. Over the photos on the walls, the furniture, the kitchen visible through the doorway. Her eyes landed on one photo in particular. A family picture from 11 years ago. 2 parents, 2 daughters. 1 teenager, 1 toddler. She walked toward it slowly, like something was pulling her. She picked up the frame with shaking hands. "I have seen this," she whispered, "in my dreams, this exact picture. It was taken 1 month before you disappeared," Amani's father said. Lieutenant Yoon was staring at the photo and her breathing was getting faster and faster. There was a song. Someone used to sing in the mornings. I can never remember the words, but I remember the tune. It went like... She hummed a few notes. Amani's mother gasped. Then she started singing, very quietly, the Swahili lullaby she used to sing to her daughters every morning. Lieutenant Yoon's eyes went huge. How do you know that song? Because I sang it to you every single morning from the day you were born until the day you disappeared. And there was a swing, Lieutenant Yoon said, her voice getting high and strange. In the backyard. I fell off when I was 7 and broke my arm, and my father felt so guilty he could barely look at me for a week. Amani's father's face crumpled. You told me it was not my fault. You said it was an accident. You made me promise not to feel bad. And there was a little girl, Lieutenant Yoon continued, tears streaming down her face now. She was so little, so tiny, and she followed me everywhere. She could not say my name right at first. She called me Sha Sha instead of Asha. I called you Sha Sha, Amani whispered, Ani, until I was 4 and finally learned to say it properly. Lieutenant Yoon looked at Amani, really looked at her, and her face just completely broke. You were so small, she said, her voice barely working. You had these huge eyes, and you were always laughing, and you loved it when I sang to you, and I forgot you. I forgot all of you. How could I forget my own family? It was not your fault, Amani's mother said, moving closer. You were hurt. Your brain was trying to protect you. But I should have remembered. I should have known. You are my mother. He is my father. She is my baby sister. I should have known. Lieutenant Yoon's legs gave out. Amani's father caught her before she hit the floor. He held her while she sobbed, huge gasping sobs that sounded like they were being ripped out of her chest. Amani's mother wrapped her arms around both of them, crying just as hard. Amani joined them, and they all held on to each other, this family that had been broken for 10 years, finally whole again. Ash, who had been watching quietly from the corner, came over and rested his big head on Amani's leg. She reached down and held on to him with one hand while holding on to her sister with the other. I found you, Amani whispered into Asha's shoulder. I promised I would never forget you, and I did not. I found you. I am so sorry, Asha kept saying over and over. I am so sorry I forgot. I am so sorry I left. I am so sorry. You are here now, their mother said, holding Asha's face in her hands. That is all that matters. You are here now. You are home. They stayed like that for a long time, tangled together on the floor, crying and holding on and trying to believe that this was real. Eventually they moved to the couch. Asha sat between her parents, holding both their hands, like she was afraid if she let go, she would disappear again. Tell me everything, she said. Tell me about the 10 years I missed. Tell me who I was. Tell me about our family. And they did. They talked all night long. They pulled out photo albums and home videos. They told stories and cried and laughed and cried some more. Amani showed Asha the photograph she had carried to breakfast every morning for 10 years. I never forgot you, Amani said. Even though I was so little when you left. Even though I could not really remember you properly. I knew I had a sister and I knew I loved you and I never let that go. Asha pulled Amani into the tightest hug. You found me. You brilliant, amazing, incredible girl. You found me when no one else could. Well, Ash helped, Amani said, and that made everyone laugh through their tears. The sun was coming up when Asha finally said she should probably go back to her quarters and get some sleep. Or you could stay here, Amani's mother said quickly. We have a couch. Or You could share Amani's room. Or we could move things around. Please do not go. I will come back, Asha promised. I will come back every day. I am not going anywhere, not anymore. She kept her promise. The next days and weeks were strange and beautiful and sometimes hard. Asha did not remember everything all at once. It came in pieces, in fragments. A smell would trigger a memory. A sound would bring back a moment. Sometimes she would be talking and suddenly stop, her eyes going distant, and they would all wait quietly while another piece of her past clicked into place. She requested extended family leave, and Colonel Yoon approved it immediately. She started spending more and more time at the Jeon apartment. First just for dinner, then for whole evenings, then for whole days. 3 months after the reunion, she moved in completely. It was cramped with 4 people in the small apartment, but nobody complained. Amani and Asha shared a room. Some nights they stayed up late, talking. Amani would tell Asha about school and Ash and her dreams of becoming a general someday. You are going to be amazing, Asha would say. I am so proud of you already. Other nights Asha would wake up crying, overwhelmed by everything she had lost, all the years she could never get back. Amani would hold her hand in the dark until she fell back asleep. Slowly, carefully, the Jeon family learned how to be whole again. It was not always easy. There were hard days, days when Asha felt like she did not quite fit, like she was a stranger in her own family. Days when the memories would not come, no matter how hard she tried. But there were good days too. Days when something would happen, and Asha would laugh and say, I remember when we used to do that, and everyone would cry happy tears. The photograph of Asha came down from the breakfast table, because Asha sat there herself now, alive and present and real. Time kept moving forward the way it always does. Amani turned 14, then 15, then 16. She grew even taller. Her voice got deeper. She read books that made her think about the world in new ways. She stayed at the top of her class in school. She won competitions. She impressed her teachers and the soldiers and everyone who met her. She was still Ash's handler in training, though Ash was getting older now. His muzzle was going gray, and he could not run quite as fast as he used to. When Amani was 15, Ash was officially retired from all military duties. He moved into the Jeon apartment full-time and spent his days sleeping in sunny spots and getting spoiled by everyone who loved him. On Amani's 16th birthday, the whole family gathered to celebrate. Her school friends came. Some soldiers came. Captain Han came, bringing another book because he knew that was what Amani loved most. Asha was there too, of course. She had decided not to go back to active military duty. Instead, she was training to become a K-9 instructor, teaching other handlers how to work with their dogs. Someone very smart once showed me that dogs need love just as much as they need training, she had said when she announced her decision. I want to teach other people that too. After everyone left and it was just family, they sat together in the living room. I have news, Amani said. Good news or bad news? Her father asked. Good news, really good news. She took a deep breath. I got accepted to the Korean Military Academy early admission program. Her mother grabbed her hand. Amani, that is incredible. You are going to be a general someday, Asha said, grinning. I have been saying it for years. Maybe, Amani said, smiling. I have a long way to go still, but this is the first step. Her father pulled her into a hug. I'm so proud of you. So incredibly proud. That night, after everyone went to bed, Amani sat on the floor next to where Ash was sleeping. She ran her hand gently over his gray muzzle. We did it, she whispered to him. We found her. We brought our family back together. And now we get to actually live, not just exist. That is because of you, Ash. All of this is because you showed up in our yard that morning and let me see you, really see you. Ash opened one eye and his tail thumped weakly against the floor. I love you, Amani told him. I will love you forever. She fell asleep right there on the floor next to him, and her mother found them that way in the morning. She did not wake them up. She just covered Amani with a blanket and let them sleep. 2 years later, Amani graduated from the military academy at the top of her class. Her whole family was there to watch. Her parents sat in the front row, holding hands and crying proud tears. Asha sat next to them in her instructor uniform, beaming. Ash was too old to make the trip, but Amani knew he was home waiting for her. At the ceremony, Amani was asked to give a speech as the valedictorian. She stood at the podium and looked out at all the faces staring back at her. When I was 10 years old, she began, I met a dog who changed my entire life. He was a military K-9 who had lost his handler and did not know how to keep going. Everyone said he was dangerous. Everyone said he was broken, but I did not see danger. I saw sadness. I saw grief. I saw someone who just needed to be seen. She paused, gathering her thoughts. That dog taught me something important. He taught me that strength is not about being hard or closed off. Real strength is about letting yourself feel things, even when it hurts. Real strength is about connecting with others, about being vulnerable enough to love and be loved. I am standing here today because a dog let me see him, because my parents fought for me when it would have been easier to give up, because I found my sister when everyone said she was gone forever, because I learned that impossible things can happen if you just keep hoping and keep trying. So to everyone graduating today, I want to say this. You are going to be asked to be strong. You are going to be asked to be brave. And you should be those things. But do not forget to also be human. Do not forget to see the people around you, really see them. Do not forget that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is care. She finished her speech to thunderous applause. After the ceremony, she went straight home. Ash was waiting for her by the door, his tail wagging slowly. I did it, she told him, kneeling down and hugging him gently. He was fragile now, his bones delicate under his fur. I graduated, and I told everyone about you, about how you changed everything. He licked her face just once, and she laughed. That night, the whole family had dinner together. They told stories and laughed, and Amani's mother made all of Amani's favorite foods. Asha made a toast. To Amani, who is going to change the world. To Amani, everyone echoed, raising their glasses. Amani looked around the table at her family. Her mother and father, older now, but still so full of love. Her sister, who had come back from being lost. And Ash, lying under the table at her feet, his presence a constant comfort. This was what home felt like. This was what healing looked like. Not perfect, not without scars, but whole in all the ways that mattered. Thank you, Amani said quietly. All of you. For never giving up. For fighting, for loving me enough to let me be who I needed to be. Her mother reached across and squeezed her hand. And Amani Jeon, who had once been a lonely 10-year-old girl playing fetch with a rogue military dog, felt a deep and certain peace. She had lost things. Everyone loses things. But she had also found things. Found love and purpose and family and herself. The world was still broken in many places. There was still work to do, still fights to fight, still people who needed help, but she was ready. She had been ready since the morning she looked at a massive, supposedly dangerous dog and asked him the simplest question in the world. Do you want to play? That question had changed everything. And Amani Jeon was just getting started. Remember that name. Because one day, not too long from now, she will be General Amani Jeon. And when she is, she will lead with the same heart that saw past fear to find connection, that chose love over safety, that never stopped hoping for impossible things. She will be extraordinary. But really, she already is. She always has been. From the very first throw of a blue rubber ball on a quiet morning when a girl and a dog found each other and decided that being seen, really seen, was worth the risk. That is where all good things begin, with someone brave enough to see, and someone brave enough to be seen.